Hi everyone, welcome to Table for Two. I'm Onezie.
And I'm the Elusive Bigfoot.
Today we're discussing our top picks for expansions. Expansions, and how did you define expansions?
I looked at both standalone expansions, which means it's an expansion on the game and you don't need the base game, as well as you need the base game and here's some extra stuff for you.
The same for me.
Okay.
So why don't you tell me your first game that you're going to talk about?
All right. My first game is for Legendary deck building game. Um, Two of the things that I really love about Legendary deck building. One, we have Big Trouble in Little China. Highly recommend you get this. I just saw this available in one of our local game stores, so it's definitely still in print. Adds a fun little twist. It doesn't blend with the Marvel game as much, although we did a review on it where we actually mashed it together. And just the ability to buy another superhero and blend that into the game as a co-op version to help win against the villains before they get to the end with that major scheme. Great game.
Yeah, it's a good game in general, and then just adding Big Trouble in Little China on top of it makes it that much more good. All right. My first game up that I'd like to talk about is Grand Austria Hotel Let's Waltz. All right, so Grand Austria Hotel is a great game by itself. And we got the Let's Waltz expansion. It's just extra ways to do stuff in the game and get more points. So what did you like about Let's Waltz?
Oh gosh, I really loved how it added another element for the ballrooms where you could go in, practice if you wanted to, and gain extra points by getting bottles of champagne over there. The artwork is beautiful. There was always that. Highly recommend. If you liked the original base game, you do need the base game in order to play the expansion, but I found that it was definitely worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. Grand Austria Hotel Let's Waltz.
Okay. My next expansion is for Quacks of Quedlinburg, and I listed the herb witches. I found that the different powers that you have. So let me start with Quacks of Quedlinburg is it's a bag building game where you start out with basic chips that will allow you different powers to build the potion that you're trying to make. But if you get too many of a certain potion or a certain ingredient, your pot explodes. So it's a push your luck and you want to stop before you explode. As you're doing that, you get to use the money that you have earned in order to buy more ingredients. And one thing that the herb witches gives you is different powers, like it allows you to pretend that your pot didn't explode yet. You get to keep going. You get to double the value. I mean, just different things. It adds a 6 count on the pumpkins. So usually you just take the chip that you pull and you move that many spaces. And so pumpkins are normally worth 1 point, but in this case, you'll get to move 6 points. So that's really expensive, but it's a great chip if you can get it early in the game.
Yeah, this was a great expansion for us to get because at one point we were playing this game once a week.
We were playing it a lot.
Once a week.
Never got old.
And then we got the expansion and it's just made it that much better.
Right. It also allows a 5th player to play with you. So that was also really good because we've definitely introduced this game to quite a few people. What about you?
Okay. Next up for me is Tiny Epic Galaxies Beyond the Black. You know, because I love Tiny Epic Galaxies, right? It's one of my favorite games. So Beyond the Black just lets you upgrade your ships and hire pilots to fly them. And you can get extra points and do extra things depending on the extra ships and extra pilots that you have. Tiny Epic Galaxies.
Okay. My next one is a villainous expansion. And one of my favorite characters to bring in is Madame Mim from Sword in the Stone. With Madame Mim, you have a separate deck where, I don't know if you recall, there was that competition between Madame Mim, the witch, who was going against Merlin, and they kept changing into different characters. So in order to beat the heroes, if someone was to play a hero against Madame Mim, you have to make sure that you have the right character against the right character. So it's like, and I can't remember exactly, it's like the tiger against the rat, or the elephant against the rat, or there's a chicken, there's a crocodile, different things like that. It just makes me a little kid again. Love that game.
All right. So the next one up for me is More Dude.
Did you put Dude and More Dude on there?
Not Dude and More Dude.
Okay.
Just More Dude.
Just More Dude.
We're
Okay.
doing expansion.
That's true. Okay.
Although More Dude can serve as a standalone game.
For sure.
For sure. So the original Dude just had cards that said Dude on it, and you had to say the word Dude. More Dude has pictures on it. You still have to say the word Dude, but you have to say it how the picture says. The hardest one is the cowboy.
That's a harder one.
I don't know how you say dude like a cowboy.
Because you aren't really allowed to use your hands or your body to indicate this particular character. You can only say the word dude. So it's good. It's a good challenge.
I think the pizza chef is more easy.
Yeah.
Because that's the pizza accent.
Yes, the pizza accent, because pizza has an accent.
It's a place.
It's a place, pizza. Okay.
All right, what's next up for you?
My next one is from Picture Perfect. It is the Sherlock Holmes expansion.
Nice.
With the Sherlock Holmes, you get Sherlock Holmes and you get Watson. And what you do is you take, so Picture Perfect is a game where you have different standees. I think there's like 14 of them. And you have clue cards. And they tell you when you look at each clue where this character likes to stand or not stand. Maybe it's in relation to the table that is in front for this family picture, or maybe it is in front of someone or next to someone, or don't be near someone, or there's even a plant.
Next to a plant.
Yeah. Well, in this particular expansion, you've got Sherlock and you've got Holmes who are trying to find out. What you do is you take the table and you turn it upside down so it becomes a coffin, and then you find one character and you put that character in the coffin. So now this is someone who has been murdered and you're trying to figure out who did it while you're trying to place everyone in the correct spot. You get clues just the same as the others, but it just adds that little bit of element. You get a tracker sheet where you get to try to guess who you think committed the murder. So that is Picture Perfect Sherlock Holmes expansion.
Picture Perfect. All right. My next one up is Carcassonne Under the Big Top.
Oh, that's a good one.
Right, so there are some, I don't know how many, expansions for Carcassonne. But we have the Under the Big Top expansion, which means circuses are coming to Carcassonne. And you can get extra points based on the tiles that are surrounding your ringmaster, your tent, and so forth. So
I love how you also try to stack your meeples.
Oh, that's true. I forgot about the stacking meeples.
And the tent, the circus moves around also.
Like a real circus.
Yeah, which I think is a really cool element.
So that's Carcassonne Under the Big Top.
Okay. I have one left. Do you as well?
I have one left.
Okay, so my number one pick is Marvel Champions.
Okay, go for it.
Oh, not yours. Okay, so in this game, you get to play a hero, and you get to play the hero side as well as the alter ego. So you, for instance, you could be Peter Parker and Spider-Man. And so you're trying to battle the different villains. You have a scheme setting, a scenario. So what I really like about it is you can mix and match all the different expansions together, the different heroes together, and you could kind of figure out, are they more of leaders? Are they more of aggressive? Like what aspect do they work best with, and really try to overpower the enemy? And it's a great game that you can also make it increasingly harder by having more villains, or need to have more points in order to win, or you can make it a little bit easier, and they do have some suggestions of how to get started, especially with the base game. With this particular game, it's really helpful to have the base game for sure, because it has all the components that you need. But if you didn't, I'm trying to think, could you play it without? No, I don't think you could. You really do need the base game to play this, because it has different cards that only come in the base game.
So that's your number one.
That's my number one.
All right.
Yeah, what's yours?
My number one is Architects of the West Kingdom Tome Saga.
Okay, I like that.
So Architects of the West Kingdom is a great game by itself. And it's a worker placement game where you put your little meeples out on the board. And
show me the point. Do you throw them?
Yes.
Aren't they going to get hurt when they fall?
They're meeples. They're made of wood.
Oh, so rude.
So
you say
rude.
that to Pinocchio too? He's just made of wood.
Not rude. So what the Tome Saga expansion does is it lets you turn a competitive game into a co-op game. So you now have a third-party villain that you're competing against instead of competing against each other. So we're trying to build the West Kingdom, build up our forges, build up our castles, build up our church, all that stuff. But we're trying to do it before the villain of the game does it.
Not an easy game to win.
So it's really maybe the only, not the only one, but I'm sure there are other games where it's a competitive game that turns co-op with an expansion. But this one is particularly good.
I know another one that does that.
What's that?
Unmatched.
Unmatched.
The Kickstarter just came out where you can choose to play co-op instead against the villains.
We were just doing that.
We were. We're going to be reviewing that soon.
So my pick for number one is Architects of the West Kingdom Tome Saga.
That is such a great game. There's something about Architects that it feels so satisfying to play as competitive. And then when we added that element for the co-op, I loved it even more.
All right, so that's our top games with a number one pick thrown in from each of us for expansions.
So if you have a favorite expansion, please put it in the comments and let us know so we can try that out as well. So from Table for Two, I am the Elusive Bigfoot.
And I'm Onezie.
Thanks so much for joining us.